The Kia Sportage is all new for 2023, and it has a few engine options to choose from. I've already done a video comparing the base engine to the hybrid engine, and you can check it out up there if you're interested, or link in the video description. But is this plug-in hybrid powertrain the best of the three variants? Let's go for a drive and find out. The plug-in hybrid powertrain that's in this Kia Sportage is shared with other Kia and Hyundai models. The previous ones that I was able to test drive were the Kia Sorento and the Hyundai Santa Fe. Links in the video description if you're interested in those reviews. Providing the bulk of the power is a 1.6-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine that produces about 177 horsepower, if I remember correctly off the top of my head. It does have help from an electric motor that provides an additional 90 horsepower. The total system output is 261 horsepower and 258 pound-feet of torque. When you require all of that power and torque, the Kia Sportage is pretty quick, but you don't get that push to the back of the seat feeling that you would get from a full electric vehicle, even less powerful full electric vehicles like the Chevrolet Bolt or the Hyundai Kona. However, the speed really does increase. Before you know it, you'll be doing illegal speed limits in a Kia Sportage. However, when you're not driving like as though your pants are on fire, the electric motor on its own has plenty of grunt to get the Kia Sportage going off the line and all the way up to about 100 kilometers an hour, about 62 miles an hour. Additionally, the Kia Sportage is rated for 55 kilometers of electric-only driving range. That's about 34 miles. However, this plug-in hybrid powertrain is a little bit different than some other PHEVs from other brands like the Mitsubishi Outlander or the Jeep Wrangler 4xe, or even luxury cars like the Volvo XC60 PHEV. With those other plug-in hybrids, the engine does not need to turn on in order to provide heating in the cabin during the winter months. They just use the electricity from the battery to keep the cabin warm. This Sportage and other Hyundai and Kia models with the same powertrain do require the engine to turn on for cabin heating even if the car is in the EV-only driving mode. So if you have a short 10-minute errand and you want to stay warm and cozy, the engine will be running for about 7 or 8 of those 10 minutes. Of course, on longer journeys, the car will eventually shut off the engine once there's enough cabin heating, and it'll only turn back on periodically just to maintain the set cabin temperature. There are heated seats and a heated steering wheel, but your face will probably not like the cold. During the summer months, obviously there's no need for cabin heating, so the engine probably never needs to turn on. But for the winter months, the fact that the engine needs to turn on to provide cabin heating defeats the whole purpose of having a PHEV in my opinion, especially for short errands when you would never need to use the gas engine. On the flip side, looking at things from a different perspective, having the engine turn on once in a while is a good thing. At the very least, you won't have fuel in the gas tank that is several months old. Also, when the engine does turn on to provide heating, it acts like a generator, so the RPMs remain at a constant 1300, which is the most efficient range for the engine. As well, using the battery electricity to provide cabin heating does impact the electric-only driving range by a bit. However, generally speaking, electricity is much less expensive than gasoline. So I'd be fine with losing 3 or 4 kilometers of EV driving range because electricity is cheap and I don't want to choose between saving money at the pumps or being comfortable in my own car. Now, I'm not saying that the powertrain isn't fuel efficient because I'm currently averaging about 3.3, 3.2 liters per 100 kilometers. It keeps fluctuating. It's just that during the winter months, I can't help but think that the fuel economy can be just a little bit better. Like I said, in other PHEVs, the engine doesn't need to be on in order to provide heat for the cabin. You don't have to choose between using up a little bit of fuel versus staying warm and comfortable when you just have a short commute. But each PHEV has their own pros and cons, and everyone has different views. Anyway, enough about that. Let's talk about the rest of this car. Recharging the Sportage PHEV takes about 10 to 12 hours if you just use a regular wall socket. However, if you have a level 2 charger, then it'll take 2 to 3 hours, depending on the charger, that is. The car does have regenerative braking, but it's not the type that allows you to change how much regen braking there is whenever you take your foot off the accelerator pedal. There's no different modes that you can change, there's no one pedal drive mode, all of it is controlled through the actual brake pedal. The transmission is a 6-speed automatic. It does not have an eCVT like some other PHEVs. Actually, come to think of it, eCVTs are a little bit different than normal CVTs. But I'm digressing, that's a story for another time. This 6-speed automatic is nice and smooth at changing gears. You're not going to notice them unless you really pay attention to them. However, this transmission is pretty slow to react to a stab of the throttle, or if you decide to use the paddle shifters on the steering wheel. Actually, with the paddle shifters, it is about a good 2-second delay before the transmission actually shifts. So best to just leave it in D and let the computer decide which gear is best. And finally, this new generation of the Sportage has a slightly longer wheelbase, which makes it feel a little bit more planted when you're driving on more twisty roads. But don't expect this to be a sporty, compact crossover SUV. The steering is really light and numb feeling, and there's a little bit more body roll than in some other compact crossover SUVs, especially the Mazda CX-5. That is still the most sportiest driving crossover SUV. This Sportage excels more in providing comfort. And speaking of which, let's get on to the comfort. Thanks to the longer wheelbase, the 2023 Kia Sportage has a smooth and comfortable ride for a CUV. Potholes do not feel as harsh as they do in some other compact crossover SUVs. The seats are also very well padded. They're not too soft and not too hard, just right. There aren't a whole lot of adjustments for the seats, but at least on the higher end trims of the Sportage, both the driver and passenger have power operated seats, at least for the Canadian market. The longer wheelbase also allows for more interior space. Legroom in the front and the back seats is more than in some other compact SUVs. Headroom in the front is okay as well, so long as you lower that seat. In the back, the seats are slightly higher up than the ones in the front, so taller adults will not have quite as much headroom as the fronts, but it's still pretty good. Additionally, the seat backs can recline, and they recline by quite a bit. Some of the cargo space has been sacrificed in the plug-in hybrid Sportage when compared to the regular hybrid and the gasoline models. This PHEV can accommodate 977 liters with the rear seats up and 1,855 liters with the seats folded. Both the hybrid and gasoline variants have over 1,000 liters and 2,000 liters of space respectively. The 2023 Kia Sportage PHEV starts in price where the hybrid Sportage ends. The EX Premium costs $45,595 Canadian, while the Sportage SX PHEV trim will cost you $48,995 Canadian. Although this is not the top spec trim, it still has a lot of features. Heated and ventilated front seats, heated rear seats, heated steering wheel, wireless phone charging, power liftgate, panoramic sunroof, automatic climate control, and many more features. Moving up to the SX trim will add gadgets like surround view cameras, side blind zone view, highway driving assist, and remote smart park assist. Perhaps the only thing that is missing is a head-up display, but I'm fine without it. The infotainment system is one that we've all grown accustomed to, as it is in every current Kia vehicle. Unfortunately, it does not support wireless Apple CarPlay nor wireless Android Auto. You still need to plug in your phones in order to use those apps. One item that some may or may not like is the climate/infotainment control screen. The display can be switched between two options with a push of a button. Other people have complained that it's an extra step or that you could inadvertently turn up the radio when you really wanted to turn up the heat in the cabin. Personally, I don't find it such a big deal because I just leave it in the climate menu and use the infotainment system itself to make different changes. And finally, the IIHS awarded the 2023 Kia Sportage with a top safety pick. The car received top marks in crash tests and advanced safety aids, but it received acceptable and poor scores for the headlight performance, depending on the trim level. So is this the best variant of the Kia Sportage? Well, despite the fact that the engine needs to run in order to provide heat for the cabin, this is still a very fuel-efficient vehicle. On top of all that, it is the most powerful of the three variants, and overall it is a very comfortable SUV. Yes, it is a little bit more expensive than the other ones, but in the long run, if you decide to keep it for a while, then it will save you on gas. If you'd like to know more about this 2023 Kia Sportage PHEV or any of the other vehicles that I mentioned in this video, I wrote more detailed reviews of them over on my website. You can find that link in the video description or click on the pop-up banner right up here. And as always, I will see you in the next car or truck or most likely another SUV. Anyway, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video and see you in the next one.